I could put you in the brig for what you've done, but I won't do it.
2 Owls, 1 Pod, the spinoff from the web series The Two Dicks about 1950s detectives who are idiots. I'm Al Ducharme. I'm in Cozumel, Mexico. That's Al Romas. I believe he's in Clearwater, Florida, and he's with his biggest fan, which is spinning above him. Hi, Al.
That's right. Hey, you were sitting on that joke for minutes, weren't you, while we warmed up here? You go, I'm going to open with the ceiling fan.
I see
joke.
it. I say it.
That's a beauty. Yeah, I am home. I'm in Clearwater, and we're going to New York tomorrow. Can't get away from these airports. Isn't it unbelievable? It's like we travel, and then we go still do things on our off time and go somewhere. It's like, what the fuck, But going to New York for a weekend, little wedding on Long Island, Riverhead, Long Island. If you know Long Island, folks, we're flying into Kennedy, renting a car, and driving to Riverhead.
The president has been shot. Oh, JFK.
Oh, there we go. I was thinking Riverhead. I didn't get what was
going on. No, Riverhead was
like,
hey, Joey, we got to get rid of those bodies.
Right. So, I don't know. We landed 2:47. Think about this, 2:47. Riverhead's 90 miles away. And I asked John, what do you think? He goes, I think he'd be at the house at 5.
Hold on a second.
I'd be thrilled. Yeah.
What day of the week?
Yeah, Thursday. So we don't have the weekend, but we're still going to be on the LIE around 4:00. I think we're fucked, but hopefully
you're on the better side of being fucked. I'll say that much, because if you go in the city, you're super fucked.
Right. Yes, we're starting in Jamaica, and he goes, "Oh, you'll be at the house at 5."
Take you, Key Largo.
Yeah, keep going.
I have no energy.
I don't know the word. I don't have the words. Oh, so
I'm trying to pretend I have energy. I don't.
So we were talking before. Yeah, you're in
Cozumel, Mexico,
and you did the walk today, which it's a pretty taxing walk. I did it last week. It's about 5 miles round trip, I guess.
5.8
roughly.
5.8. I did a little zigzag in between, but you can do it in 5.6.
It's a good walk. I did it. I walked to breakfast, then thought I'll cab it back, but then I got cappuccino, some energy. I'll walk it back. And we were just saying that walk, it's almost like a mirage. Things start happening. It's like, hey, you're super close. Keep going. And then you realize I'm not close. It fucks with your head.
Yeah, you can see a couple of landmarks as a resort, and the ships are off in the distance, but it curves around. It's an illusion.
Yeah.
And
it's an illusion, man.
It's an extra 1.5 miles. But there's 2 stretches where there's nothing. There's no stores. I had 2 bottles of water with me in my backpack, so I was good.
Yeah.
But depending on the temperature, of course. And then the way back was really hot. So I was gulping down the water. And then there's 2 places I can piss if I have to.
Where? Along the walk?
Yeah, they're in between.
You go in a place, I would imagine. Or
no. There's 2 stretches.
Pissing outside in Mexico?
Yeah, there's a path that goes down to the woods before it gets to water. And you go in there. And I've done it before. Just got to be careful of the iguanas. They don't grab
the rapey, the rapey old homos in there, I would imagine, right? Waiting for the young tourist man to, not that young, but, to whip it out for him.
Well, that's why I carry tip money.
Oh. Is this what these kind of tips, are they on these entertainer pages on Facebook? Entertainers helping other entertainers out?
Yeah, but there's another chat room that I can invite you. You have to be invited.
No, I don't want to go. I don't care.
You don't want in?
I don't want in. I don't want in. Get me out.
Get him out.
Get him out. Yeah, but that's a hell of a walk.
But you weren't drinking. I had a margarita with my dinner, my lunch. So
no, it was not drinking.
And it was a double
pour.
2
cappuccinos.
They go heavy. Amigo,
They go heavy.
I go into the same 2 or 3 places so they remember me. He's the guy who tips. He tips.
Where do you go? Where do you
I don't.
like to
I've been
go?
to La Chosa, but if you pass La Chosa 3 blocks on the right, it's called Eduardo's Alma something. And I used to call it the turtle place because they had about 12 turtles that lived on the. You go through the restaurant and then it opens up to a courtyard.
They make good stew, Rock.
Yeah,
Make
that's
good
true.
stew. Yeah.
But they had this little indoor water thing going on, a fountain and whatnot. And these turtles would occasionally walk through the restaurant when they were leaving out the front. And they'd walk under the tables while you were eating. And it was great.
Ugh, that's unsanitary.
What are you talking? It's not
even
rats.
From Mexico. Even from Mexico,
it's
that's
not
unsanitary.
Rats.
Get out of here. I'm not having a meal with
It's
shit
not
crawling
Godzilla.
around the floor. I don't want to be eating, seriously, and see some live, creature on the floor.
But you'll eat dead creatures. You'll eat lobster.
Yeah. Lobster. I've been on they're overrated. And lobster's great and all, but it's definitely overrated. And the price of it.
They were feeding them to the prisoners in Alcatraz because they didn't want to pay for meat.
Yeah.
It was the
butter.
cockroach
Just
of the ocean.
Drawn butter. That's all people are interested in.
I like the mayo and the celery cold and a roll.
Mayo and celery cold?
Mayo, celery, lobster in a sandwich.
Oh, with lobster.
A lobster salad sandwich. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. I'm hoping not to see any of those this year or next year because that would be in Alaska. And I don't want to deal with that again. Are you doing Alaska this year? Do you have anything coming up?
I do.
You're going back to that hellhole?
Yeah, I just got an email from our travel person, as you know, sweet gal Laura. We love her.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm going to be vacationing with my family, and everybody's paying $2,000 each for this vacation house, which is bullshit. So I have to take a week out of work, but I did. Bernadette and I booked a gig nearby just prior to it, so it's going to help pay for our flights and the beach house, which is great. But because I'm flying from North Carolina or Norfolk, Virginia, the difference in the flight is between $400 or $800, depending on what airline I want to go on, and they're going to deduct it from my pay because it's not my home airport.
Right.
They get bulk rate. They can say whatever figure they want.
I know. They don't want to do that. They just don't want to work, really. It's like any job. But yeah, you're right.
I think the travel people in the office are taking. They hit their number. They save a certain amount. They get a bump.
No,
they get a bonus.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know about that with the travel people. I don't know. I have never heard that. I don't know about that, but maybe.
I'm getting to the point where I'd rather book my own travel and just submit.
You can. They will do that.
But they'll say they get the bulk rate. So they get a lower rate, and they also get the option. They change it whenever they want because
there'll be a price on it. So if you go, I'm booking this, it's $1,800. They're going to go.
We're going to give you $5.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, what I'm saying is they're telling me how much the flight is going to come out of my pocket that they have to pay. I already looked at the flights. They're about $800 to $1,000. So they're going to charge me between $600 and $800, depending on which one I take.
Why don't you just do it yourself? I don't understand. Like, why don't you just do it yourself? Tell them, don't worry about it. And then you can pick an airline.
Because if it's going to cost me $400 on JetBlue, it's going to cost me $860 on American, which is my airline. But they do have an agreement with JetBlue, so I will get treated. I'll get similar treatment, and I'll get the miles. So I'll go JetBlue, but it's going to cost me another $400 and change. Oh. It's just like,
yeah,
they don't give you credit when you save them money.
Well, dude, no. Look, I don't even want to get involved.
Don't you take the fucking man's side, brother.
I'm spending the whole summer flying to Bayonne when I live in the state. I live in the state with the cruise ships.
I know.
So they're talking about money. 2 flights.
74% of cruise ships sail out of Florida, and they're flying you to Bayonne, New Jersey.
All summer, I'm going to Bayonne and back, Bayonne and back, Bayonne and back, in a hotel each time. 2 flights. It's stupid. It's stupid. but that's what they're doing. Okay. But it doesn't make it. So they can talk about money and the travel department getting a bump if they can save money right there. It's me.
A
just
few
alone.
years ago, I tried to fly out of Detroit because I was doing a gig there. And they said, we're going to charge you $250 because of the ticket. I said, the ticket's $250 more to fly from Detroit to Fort Lauderdale than it is from LA. They go, that's what it is. So I went online, scoured, found a flight for $1.25 one way. I said, $1.25. I found one. They said, book it. And they reimbursed me $1.25. They didn't reimburse me $250, motherfuckers.
No, and that's
I saved them $125.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It goes back to it doesn't make sense. If it really was about money, I'd be working only in Florida. You'd be doing freaking isn't the Navigator out of Long Beach? I mean, I think
I just did it twice.
Yeah, I did. But you could be doing that all the time.
But they're still flying people from the East Coast to fucking San Pedro.
This is what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. So the travel department's not.
I take an Uber or my wife drops me off. Those are my two options, and they don't pay for that. Mm-hmm. They don't pay for my Uber local, so it would. So
you're getting travel money. You got travel money. That's in your. That's for your Uber.
You got to.
That's for the Uber.
What I'm saying is, but they're not paying. The other people that are flying from the East Coast are getting travel money and flights.
Right.
So I'm a bargain. So why not book me this? Why not book me the season for 3 months?
This is my point. This is why when you say the travel department's getting a bump if they do, they're not, because they would be smart if they were doing that.
Prove me wrong, Romas.
I would be only in Florida. You
take my side. Yeah, you're right, Ducharme. I got your back, bro. You're like, well, come on, be realistic. You're an idiot.
Well, do you want to have I don't know if the podcast can be that interesting if I just agree with you. Go. You're right.
You're true. That's true.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. But anyway, yeah. But again, all the New York comics, if they were going to save money, they'd be working Bayonne. I'd be working Florida. You'd be working West Coast. They don't care,
dude. When I was working,
everyone's flying everywhere.
Yeah. When I was working NCL, they were docked on 49th Street in New York City. I was living on the Upper West Side. I'd take a taxi to the ship for like $12 with my bags. It was incredible. And I did that for about 2 years. I'm like, this is awesome. And sometimes we go to Bermuda, we go down to the Caribbean, or we go north to the St. Lawrence River for the foliage in October. It was great. And why can't we do this all the time?
I don't know. I don't understand it. And foliage, but that's like Alaska to me. Overrated. Foliage. Come on. An hour? 2 hours?
Why do you hate nature?
Colorful.
You hate turtles?
Done.
You hate turtles, lobsters?
Turtle stunk. Yeah. I like I love a nice steak. I love I don't love fish, to be honest. Shrimp. That's about it. But I forget my point now. But anyway, yeah.
Okay. We covered
foliage. That. Oh, foliage. It's like Alaska. Overrated. That's my point.
Okay.
All right.
I get it.
Yeah.
But if I don't if I don't see it for a number of years, I miss it. Go ahead.
You miss the foliage if you don't see it for a number of years?
Well, I grew up in New England. It kind of brings you back. Okay.
No, I get it, but it's not something. When people go, I'm making a trip to Maine this fall to see the foliage. It's like, I hope you're doing something else too, because that sounds like shit.
Well, here's the thing: I've never had to pay for it.
Yeah,
I would usually get gigs up there.
That's not what she said.
Well, I've been paying for that for years.
I know.
But I would get gigs up there, ski resorts, bars, restaurant, and
You worked the system, man.
I did.
You worked it.
People were paying $2,500 to go see the foliage, and I was making $800 coming back.
I remember that Vermont gig. I would go skiing there, and it was beautiful, and people would be paying big bucks, and lift tickets and all that shit was part of the gig. You check in, like, here's your lift tickets,
here's awesome dinner.
Yep.
Condo. You can stay an extra night if you want. Here's ski rentals. I never bought skis.
No, never bought skis.
I'd get the beat up rentals for sure, but they were free.
They were free, man. But yeah, I remember people talking about how much they were dropping for this weekend in Vermont and the whole thing. And I was like, it's pretty cool, man. We're getting paid to be here and ski all day. And we were talking before we started the pod. It was interesting. I wanted to bring this up on here. We were talking about you were talking about a cruise you did, a charter, and they asked for you to be there, and you were the comedian, and your money. When you actually sort of found out what it was supposed to be compared to what you made. I think that's a common thing. I think a lot of comedians I've dealt with that. I dealt with that when I first started. I did a show in Virginia, and I just got out of the Navy. So I had all Navy jokes. I was just fucking talking about the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And a chief wanted me to perform at the comedy club, but it was going to be all Navy personnel. And he's like, we're going to have dinner, and you're going to go on. And I'd never made more than probably $100 a weekend at that point. I mean, it was like MC for $50.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I did it. It went pretty well. And I was getting $800. And I was like, this is fucking amazing. I'm making $800 to do comedy. I'm out of the Navy 6 months. And as I'm sitting there after the show talking to people, one of the chiefs came up and goes, how long you been out? I said, like 8 months. He goes, $5,000 for 30 minutes.
Whoa!
It's not bad. It's not bad. He goes, I think you're doing the right decision. I'm like, I go, excuse me? 30, how much? He goes, $5,000. I go, yeah. I go, I don't know. I go, I made 8. And I'm like, I'm so naive. I go, I made 800. And he goes, well, partner, you better go talk to somebody because we paid $5,000 for you. We gave $5,000 for entertainment. And the comedy club, and I turned out it was not the comedy club, it was the booker of the club, who will go nameless, Anita Fletcher. She took $4,200 out of 5 G's and gave dumb comedy boy 800, who was thrilled. And she knew I'd be thrilled with it. And then I confronted her about a week later, and her take was, and I've heard this from other comics who dealt with this, her take was, you could have said no. I offered you $800 for a gig. You said yes. You were very happy. What I make on it is of no relevance at all.
But they seeked you out. She did not.
That's right.
She did not go out and produce it. She didn't go out and set up the lights, bought the sound system.
Nothing. She didn't do anything.
Arranged. She received a phone call. Said, hey, this guy, Al Romas, just got out of the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Or even, do you have any Navy guys, comedians? Do you have any comedians with any Navy experience? And she went, yeah, we do. And they go, great. What would you charge for something like that? And she said $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, okay.
Yeah. Johnny Lampert out of New York has a reputation for doing that. And he's been.
Is that the guy who lives with his parents?
No.
Yeah. Remember, that was his hook. When he
was
a
yeah. Yeah. That was his bit.
The boy who lives at home.
Yeah. That was
and
his,
he was like 50.
Yeah. He was discovered many times. When they show up at the gig, when they go an hour out of their way to show up at the gig and they're not performing. When they walk through the door, you're like, oh, I'm getting fucked.
Yeah.
Because they want to pick up the check so you don't see it.
Right.
And then the motherfucker does that, eats. He's fucking stuffing his face. I go up, I perform. He goes, all right, man, I'll get that out to you first thing Monday. How about handing me cash? Give me a check. Hand me a check. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
It's so true, though, about them showing up and trying to grab that check before.
Tony Camacho showing up.
Oh.
I'll pick you up and drive you to the gig. No!
Tony Camacho.
I'm getting $750, and he's fucking, same thing. He's stuffing his face with the food. Talking to the guy in the back. I could see their hands moving through the glass in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And he hands him an envelope. It's in his pocket.
Yeah.
And Tony Camacho's, he's bankrupt, trying to pay for his car and his house and keep his wife happy.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I'll mail that out Monday. And then sure enough, 10 days later, hey, Tony, my check hasn't received. Oh, yeah. I'll get that out to you.
Oh God, those memories. That's like when sometimes when if people go, "You like working shifts? Do you like that kind of thing?" You can at least you go. You know what? There's never an issue. I get paid what I'm supposed to get paid at the end of the week. I get paid. You know what I mean? It's not that you're not dealing with comedy clubs or people of that ilk, because there were a lot of those people running around, and I couldn't even believe I didn't talk to Tony Camacho in 15 years, and he called me last year about doing a dry bar. He got attached to that, or somehow he's grabbing a commission out of that if he books it. It's just like, dude, go away. I don't really.
I tried to go around him.
I don't
when he called me. He texted me and called me. I was on a ship, and so I didn't get right back to him right away. But I had already had the email to the guy, the producer, so I emailed him directly. I said, "Hey, here's my clips. I'd like to get on that."
Yeah,
and then Tony just kept hammering away, and I just said, "Tony, I'm sorry, I'm not available." Then it just never worked out. But
yeah,
because I didn't want him saying, "Hey, do that." I just didn't want it associated with him because
I agree.
History.
Right. No, I mean, Andy was grabbing a commish. I knew a couple comics who booked it through him, and the money had gone down so much. So now it was like $700, and you got to pay your own air, put yourself up in Utah, and then Tony's grabbing 15% of that 700 or some shit. It was like, this is nuts.
If it is that, I have no idea. When his name came in the mix, I circumvented myself. I tried to book it around him. It didn't work out, so I'm not worried.
And they're so backlogged. I mean, there are people who did
2 years ago.
2 years ago. They're coming out now. It's kind of ridiculous, really.
Unless they're doing evergreen material, that's.
Yeah, I don't.
But,
it's
still,
it's too long. No,
even if you have a joke that you've been doing for years and it's 2 years old now, you have tweaked it so much.
I haven't
made it more efficient.
My jokes from 2 years ago are exactly the same as they are now.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I do them differently. I do your jokes a little different.
Well, good. Bring them to life, would you please?
And I'm not saying they're as good as your execution, but I do well with it.
All right, I'm all in favor of it.
I get a lot of tips after the show. I pass the hat.
Nice. Busket a little bit. Good for you.
I'm working malls with your material.
Whatever, man. I'm glad you're working. I'm glad the material's out there, and because it stopped working for me years ago. Hey, you know what time it is?
Questions. Is it really? It's my favorite part of the show.
It's question time. You ask questions. We answer them on the Instagram. We're on the Instagram. We're on the Twitter. We're on the Facebook. We're on the TikTok, and that's it. No more of these apps. Stop making them. We don't want to do any more. We've got enough happening here. We're good with that. Are you ready, Alfredo?
Resistance is futile.
Oh, all right. I don't know what that's from. What is that from?
That's Jean-Luc Picard when they turned him into a Borg.
I didn't see it.
All right, get out.
I'm
doing this podcast solo. Beat it.
Please. I've been waiting.
Do me a favor.
I've been waiting to hear those words for a long time. Thank you. They say the Lord doesn't exist. He answered a prayer.
Ducharme gave Romas the boot, and it's their biggest podcast ever. They got 2 million downloads.
Podcast Magazine is fucking thrilled.
They offered Romas a lucrative deal to do a solo.
Yes. Here we go. Question number 1. We have 2 questions today. 2 questions. Question number 1. Marcus 499. I don't know. If you could be someone else, living or dead, who would it be? Let's make that for like a day, because that sounds. I don't want to be somebody else, but maybe a day.
I'd like to experience.
Yeah, a day in the life of someone living or dead. Who would that be?
I'm going to go with Leonardo DiCaprio's penis for one day.
Oh, just for a day. Yeah. You want him now? Today's Leo? You want him 10 years ago?
Well, he's
5
younger
years
than
ago?
me, so 2 weeks ago is fine.
Yeah.
Dude,
What?
he's got 19-year-old supermodels. I'll take them
They're
now,
legal.
right
They're
now.
legal.
I
They're
didn't
legal.
say they weren't illegal.
Who's having the problem? Is it women? Like, who has the problem? I read shit like, seems like people have a problem with this. I mean, he's not doing anything wrong.
No,
What's the problem? It must be just a bunch of Karens.
he's single.
He should be dating his own age.
He's
Like,
single.
shut up.
He's super famous, super wealthy, doesn't have any children, purposely
Right.
did not get
Oh,
married
He wins
because he's like, I'm a fucking
That's
movie
right.
star.
He's never. Yeah, he's
I'm not
never
gonna.
been married.
I'm gonna pull a Clooney, and I'm not gonna get married until I'm in my 50s.
And then some broad they'll start gay rumors, in another year. Oh, he's gay. That's why he's never married. He's gay. It's like, gay. Are you out of your mind? He's
Meanwhile,
having the
3
best
chicks are
life ever.
taking turns on his cock.
Hey, now.
Is that too much?
Third
Should I
one,
cut that
that
out?
third one seems unnecessary.
Okay.
I don't know if you need her.
You're right. I would have been
the
done.
first two seem what they're
I would
doing.
have been done if there was just 3 lined up looking at me.
Yeah. The third, like, what are you doing here?
That was too
Yeah,
much.
that's a good one. Leo's cock. I hadn't gone that route. I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't think about it beforehand. So maybe I would be.
I could take that away and make it nicer if you want.
No. I mean, it's funny. It's a good one. I would just go serious, but I would probably be. I think I don't know. I always wanted to be in the crowd in the cavern in like 1963, late 63, an afternoon show watching the Beatles at the cavern before they become cute and mop toppy. When they're like they were like kind of punk and they're in leather and they're rocking like an afternoon show and they're loose. I'd love to be in the crowd for that. That would be fucking amazing.
How about a bouncer?
And then
doorman?
Yeah, man, that would be awesome. That'd be cool because those guys became part of their entourage. The doorman becomes, 3 years later, he's basically running Apple.
Right.
Another guy is their tour manager, or so they took guys they knew. They didn't look at it like, oh, you're skilled in this, or they were just like, we need friends around us.
Right.
You'll work out.
That's
so something like
vote.
that, I would. Yeah, but I mean, to see that, I would love to see that. There's rumors that there's footage of that, and Peter Jackson, as we speak, is pulling shit together. He's got some film from Hamburg.
He's going to
and
make
some
another
unseen
one.
film from the cavern, and he's trying with this new technology to put it together, to color it, and then the sound. I mean, it could be like fucking Holy Grail type shit.
I'll watch it.
If it happens. If it
I'll
happens,
watch it.
we'll see.
Either way.
Goddamn right you will. Goddamn right you will.
I'll fly into wherever you are to watch it.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get those 3 girls going all over our day, and we'll have a nice evening.
All right. Kelly's going to chime in. What's
Who?
going on
What?
in here?
Who? What?
What are you guys talking about?
She's going to be getting her hip replaced, so she can be chiming in from, wherever, in traction.
Just in case you're just tuning in for the first time, Kelly is a guy. No, Kelly is Al's girlfriend.
How dare you?
And she was in perfectly good health, but Mr. Well Endowed, let's just say she has to have her hip replaced now.
Let's just say it. Yep. A little over a year with Daddy, and the hip is shot. It's she's but we're going with right hip, and then we'll save up and we'll get the left hip another time. And isn't it weird that your wife and my girlfriend both have these names, kind of androgynous? Would that be the
Bernie.
word? Androgynous. Bernie and Kelly could be a couple of fellas.
And
if,
I'm
it went
pretty
that
sure
way.
they're both kind of tomboyish. At least Bernie
Yeah.
is
Yeah, Kelly.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say Tom, but yeah, she's
athletic.
she can hang with the fellas. Yeah.
Yeah.
She.
I'm attracted to boys, but I'm just
Hey, now.
I'm embarrassed. So I went with a woman who's close to being a dude.
The greatest episode ever, the one finally, Al Ducharme. Almost, he opened the closet door slightly. It almost came out, but then ran back in. Well, we'll clip. That's the clip right there. I'm attracted to boys. That's what we need. 3 seconds.
Fortunately,
And then
I'm
out.
editing this, so
Oh, fuck. That would have been perfect.
I'll put
That's a
myself in
perfect
the
clip.
best lights.
That's a perfect clip. I'm attracted to boys. 2 L's, 1 pod.
Two owls, one pedophile.
2 L's, 1 pud. 1 pud, 3 gals. Doing a lot of
Yes, a lot of that going on here.
a lot of going on, but 3 of them. I like how you put 3 in there. Like 1 is plenty, 2's great, 3
is unobtainable.
it's really kind of annoying. I would think almost like what?
It was in the.
What are you doing?
Because it was Leonardo DiCaprio. That's why we're coming off of that.
Fuck. He probably does have 3, son of a bitch.
Oh my God.
Who wants 3? I want 1 quality woman. I don't need 3 whores. You know what I mean? Give me 1 quality woman who I can talk to and have a nice relationship with. I don't need 3 whores fucking around on my dick. You know what I'm saying? That's my point.
Oh my God.
Do
we have another question? Now I have my clip. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Do we have another question?
We have another question. It's
Another question.
Questions. On the Instagram, 2 L's, 1 pod Instagram. Here we go. This is a good one. What is the worst intro you've ever received or gotten, but received? What's your worst intro you've ever received? For me, I just think of the cruises. A lot of times with the comedy club where you're in, they'll have a host. I don't know if they're having a host currently. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you do. And they are from, wherever, some country that, I can't pronounce. And they don't, it's not even their fault, but they'll ask your name like once. And they go, how'd you remember to bring you up? I'll say Al Romas. You could say 2 Al's, 1 pod podcast. And then they get up there and it's a mess of everything. And they don't even remember you. They just, I've had guys stand there and just go, I'm sorry. I don't know who we have now. So bring him up. He's funny. And you just go up and go, okay, thank you. So those are bad. I don't know if it's the worst one
we have pre-recorded this cruise. And Steve White was on last week, so I had his introduction the first night. And it's pre-recorded. So then they re-recorded it for the next night. And
that's funny.
And our cruise director, nice guy, I've known him for a long time, Ricky Matthews, the way they recorded it and edited it, they do the 2 comedians' intros, and then they redo the intro to who's ever going on first. And as you know, we swap nights to open and close. Yeah. So they just never get it right. But that's not the worst. It's just the mispronunciation of Ducharme. Ducharme or Ducharme. And sometimes I get Duchmeyer, Dutchmark, Ducharme. I get it all. So they butcher my French Canadian name.
It doesn't matter what my name's 5 letters. Al Ramos is Ramos. That's Ramos is all the time. Romy have added letters to it. You just want to go, it's 5 fucking letters, man. But
you should change it to Roman.
Yeah, I should. I should change my name at this point. I think that'd be a good move. Yeah.
That's gonna be
that'll be
all of a sudden your career just like soars. Holy shit. Just that little tweak.
It open source actually, and I gotta look into those.
Put some ointment on it.
Hey, now I did a comedy club. You probably did in Connecticut back in the day. Billy Jacks.
Billy Jacks.
Do you remember Billy Jacks?
Yeah.
Do you remember the setup at Billy? This was the club.
It's a very high stage, right? For like a band.
Yep. I featured there. My first time featuring, and it was an MC who did 20. Then he had an improv group. You remember this improv group? They did like an hour. I mean, he was the classic. We're here to sell booze. I don't give a fuck. So the MC
long show.
MC did 20. Improv group did almost an hour. I did 30, and the headliner. I remember because it was Bill McCarty. Bill McCarty from New York. Good guy, good comic. Mm-hmm. This poor guy had to do an hour after 2+ hours. in Connecticut in 1992, I mean, it was rough.
They
It was
kept
fucking
thinking
rough.
longer was better for some reason. The formula
Sell
was
booze.
get that
Sell that
next
booze.
those extra 2 or 3 rounds of booze.
Yeah.
And it's like, do a shorter show and add a show. You're going to make even more money. But
Yeah, well,
it took them a decade to figure that out.
I
But Billy Jacks,
guy,
after they went through all the New York comics, then they started using the upper echelon of comedians out of Boston, which I was not a part of. And then when they went through those, they started mixing the New York and Boston together. And then us underlings, because we were all starting out. Then eventually we drive out there. And of course, the money wasn't as nearly as much as it was
no.
a year or two prior.
I got there and he goes, "I'm docking you 50." It was like Friday afternoon. I went to find the club. I was new. I wanted to see how far it was from the Motel 6 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm finding things out. Anyway, I meet the guy. I walked in the afternoon. He's like, "Oh," I go, I'm Al Romas. He goes, "Oh yeah. Hey, by the way, I'm docking you $50." I go, "What? For what?" And he goes, "You didn't send in your headshots in time." I go, "They were in the window. You got them in the window with Bill McCarty." And he goes, "Yeah, I didn't get them in time though. So I got to dock you $50."
What a piece of shit.
I go, "What? I don't even know what this means." I go, "When were you supposed to have them?" And he's like, whatever it was, say 2 weeks ago. I go, "When did you get them?" And he goes, "Well, 4 days ago." So I'm like, "What?" I go, anyway, I ended up not getting docked because the shows were good and whatever. It wasn't a pain in the ass. But I mean, that was the initial reaction to meeting this guy.
And he's doing it just before you go on stage to perform. So risking losing your confidence. You know what I mean?
Well, he hosted. He would go up first. This is why I thought of it with the intro. He went on that night and he goes, "Hey everyone, I'm Billy, and just want to tell you, we put my mom in the ground today. So, all right. Well, I don't know how good this show's going to be. We'll see. Let's bring up Tracy Esposito."
Not a joke.
And that's how he started. He goes, "Let's bring up." It was like Tracy Esposito was the MC. He was like, let's just bring up Tracy and we'll get this going." It was like, that was my first time meeting. Like, what?
People, the narcissism is not new.
I put my mom in the ground.
I put my mom in the ground.
I don't
Hey,
know
by the way, did you notice that we're both wearing the same T-shirt? What is it? After 5?
Yeah.
What is it? After 5?
I don't know what it's called. I don't know what their thing is. I saw another comic on Facebook. He was somewhere. He had it on too. So it must be what do you call it? Popular amongst
middle-aged white
comedians. Dudes. Yeah, it's a good shirt. I mean, it fits good. Doesn't
I have a dozen of them. I bought different colors. Just when I get that sale, they send me get 20% off, buy 3 and save even more. All of a sudden it's like 30% off. So I just load up.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to give Billy Jack as the worst intro of a show I've ever on. And other than that, I would just say Ship Comedy Club hosts.
Okay.
But they're fine. I don't really. I mean, they were always. I feel bad for them. I mean, they're doing a million other jobs, and they got to host 2 shows. They get out of there. They go do a thing, come back, and Although I did see one recently on one of the ships, and the guy was trying to do comedy, the host, and he was doing a bit, like a full bit, and I knew the bit. And I was like, bully, I don't know. So I sent a message to the guy who wrote the bit. And I go, "Hey, just so you know, there's a host here. She's doing your thing." And he goes, fuck. He goes, and then he goes, does he look like this? And I go, "Yeah, that's the guy." He goes, "That fucking guy was at my show, like studying me." I go, "Well, he did a good job. He did the bit very well." And, but it was so weird to see a host come out and kind of kill.
Yes, that's the worst, that they kill with someone else's material. But we just experienced it again, which has been going on for years on the internet. There was the big fat Jew who had millions of followers. That's his name, the big fat Jew, a Jewish guy taking comedians' jokes and acting them out in pictures and video, and getting people going, "Oh my God, you're so much funnier than anything I've ever seen." Meanwhile, he's stealing.
Right.
He's making $1 million or $2 million. And then the comedy industry came down on him and everybody's accusing him. So now he was still doing them, but he would give a little side note. such and such, Al Romas's bit from Al Romas. You know,
Right.
he's not asking
right.
permission. He's
Right.
playing the video and then giving you a little credit at the end, but he's not
but
paying
it's all
for
out.
it.
Like the thing you had sent me
About
a
Mitch
video.
Hedberg.
Yeah, you sent me a video and it's funny. And then I just wrote, I go, yeah, but it's Mitch Hedberg's joke. And they just acted it out. So they took an old bit. They took a camera. They made a little video, and it's getting some views. But it's like, well, it's not yours. I mean, how does that work? You didn't come up with anything really. You just acted out a video. That's like someone, doing these things where if someone likes a bit, like I saw Bernie, she's got on Instagram, somebody will do her bit. Someone heard their bit and they'll mouth it, mime it. And they're like, that's fine because you're hearing the comic at least. But in that video, there's no mention of any way of Mitch Hedberg. It's just, hey, look at us, what we came up with today.
Well, there was a radio station. There was a few radio stations who had done that over the years. They would record you at a comedy club, and then they changed the speed, either increase it or slow it down, so your voice was slightly different, and they do your material and not mention your name.
Wow.
And then there was another one out in New York. They were recording, hey, we're going to record your show for the radio. We're like, great. And they're playing them. The DJ's playing them as part of their program. No mention of your name. So I fucking wigged out. I called up and talked to a bunch of comics. We all started hammering away. You can't do that, but it's great exposure. It's no exposure.
There's no exposure.
There's zero exposure. You're taking our material, our bits, and you're fucking using them to fill in to get people to stay and listen to you. So either you pay us or you mention us. Yeah. So they suddenly changed it. You started mentioning us.
Yeah, I remember the 5 o'clock funnies. They were famous for that too. They would just go to comedy clubs, record a bunch of shit. Hey, it's 5 o'clock, and then they'd add it. All of a sudden, you're hearing comedy, but never mentioned. Hey, that's Al Ducharme. He was at the Improv. Nope. And but you know what? Back in those days, you think about exposure. What did it even mean? We didn't have websites. We didn't have any. So you could say the guy's name, but you couldn't go see anything about the guy. You know what I mean? Like if I heard your bit on the radio and I went, hey, that's funny. Okay.
Yeah, but you have zero chance of anybody going, who's this Al Romas guy? Oh, that's so funny. Oh, hey, we think we heard you on the radio. Is that the same guy? At least there's a chance.
Well, yeah, I mean, you should have your name mentioned, but I'm just saying back in those days, when you do things for exposure, there was really no exposure in that way because you couldn't build a following unless you were on a sitcom type thing. It was very difficult.
I know.
But, or you like a Seinfeld he was a headliner based on 30 Tonight Shows and 30 Lettermans, but for the majority out there, it was just kind of journeyman comics and exposure.
Right. At least on satellite radio, Sirius XM, they'll have your name printed. If you're not reading it, if you're driving and you're listening,
right?
They don't say the comedian's name, but they're playing it, and you are getting a few pennies each time they play it.
Right. The only time I remember, who was hosting it? Somebody was hosting one of the channels, and then he was playing, and I got the thing played on that, and they say
Raw Dog?
You'd be like Raw Dog, yeah, and he was like, hey, this buddy of mine, and so he was doing it like that, and so that was fun, and I heard people heard it and listened, and oh, okay, great, that's fun, but yeah, you're right, general, and then there was the thing. Remember the cassettes they were selling at truck stops? I think Foxworthy. He was sued the shit out of them.
Sure.
Because I think he had one deal, like make an album. He was an unknown, and they put it on cassette and sold.
They cannibalized
out of it.
Yeah.
Every trucker grabbed one, threw it in his truck while he drove.
These guys are pocketing the money. They pay the truck stop people. You guys take your 10, 20%. We get the rest. Oh, these things are flying off the shelf. All of a sudden, $2 million in sales, and the artist is seeing nothing.
Jeff doesn't even know.
He
didn't even know that this was happening out there. It was just one of those. We'll give you $200 to record your show tonight, and if it sells anything, we'll give you some money down the line.
No transparency, no recording.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah. So where are you going next? What? This will be airing Monday, but today's Thursday. You're in Cozumel. What do we have next? We have a sea day. Going a couple sea days.
Yeah, I'm going to be here for actually another short cruise. I think it's a repositioning cruise. So I'll finish a week here and then do 4 days, and then I'll go back home. And Bernie and I are going to be putting in our new kitchen floor. And then we're putzing around. And then we are going to go on a cruise together. We're going to do the Mexican Riviera and Ensenada, Mazatlan, I think, and then Catalina Island, California. So we'll do a 4-day. We'll do a 4-day together, and then I'll give her the heave ho, and then I'll stay on and do 3 more days.
Oh, and what cruise line?
That's Royal.
Royal. So the is that the Navigator?
It is
the Nav.
the Nav.
Yeah, because I saw Mark Walker. I did the Mariner a couple days ago. He's the cruise director, but he's heading there next to the Mariner.
Oh, so then,
and he has first time in like 20 years because he has kids in Florida, but he's like, I need, he got divorced and all that, and he goes, I just need mental health. I got to get the fuck away for a while and do something different. So he's going to be doing West Coast on the Navigator. So you may see him if you're on the ship.
Well, he'll do 4 months and then he'll go home for a month or two, see the girls.
Yeah, I think it's a little longer actually, because I think he's doing 5+.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it would be good to see him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Good. He's really a good cruise director. Like that, you could tell when you get on that ship. Even it was a 4-day cruise. He put 7 days worth of shit in there, but just the attitude of the staff and people. It's like it comes down, and from the captain of the cruise director, they're doing a good job. Where sometimes you go on and you go, this place, okay, and then you see who's running it, and you go, okay, I get it.
Yeah, Mark he's got good mojo, great energy.
Hard
worker, very pleasant to sail with. Yep, good guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing this forever, and he still acts like it's day one. He's one of those guys, which pretty amazing.
A polished day one, meaning he's happy. He's happy to have the gig. He loves it.
Yeah, and after COVID, and I was texting with him during COVID, and he was
hustling
kids. He was driving a Carvana.
He was working cars. He was working in a bakery inside of a grocery store, driving a shuttle bus at the airport,
would make cakes for the gays,
delivering cars. Right? He was like just going nuts because he's got. I think he has dual citizenship because he's a Brit, and he married an American woman. So he didn't have enough into the system to collect unemployment, so he was out there. And he had a family to support.
And and kids and and it's we're in this weird occupation that just stopped. And that was tough. But I look back, we were talking and we were like, man, I was texting this guy in 2020 just being like because he was posting about driving for DoorDash and driving for Carvana and getting a job at Publix and whatever, and they were not giving him any hours, but so when you see him out there, he's definitely he's very happy
proactive.
To be back.
He was very he was working on getting his license for each thing. That's why he drove the airport shuttle so that he could qualify to do Carvana to drive a bigger truck. He had it all planned out. If I do this for 3 months, I can get this. He was constantly making moves. I felt like a lazy piece of shit going, how do I get unemployment? I'm not working.
Yeah, you and Bernie were in your pajamas all day and having food delivered, and I
kept thinking it was going to be over in 2 weeks.
You had a pretty good COVID season. It wasn't bad. We'd pod up. We have our podcast. You can look back on those if you want on YouTube and in all the pods, but podcast places. But we do the whole thing every Friday. We put out a classic, and those are our COVID podcast. But you get to see Al in various pajamas. I don't think he ever came out of pajamas for about 8 months. It was a ski hat and some pajamas going, and you were having a good time. Food delivered. I remember those days.
Yeah, the pandemic was the best thing for me.
There's another clip. Good. We got the pandemic was the best thing for me, and I like
boys. All right, are we all done today?
Well, let me look at my notes one more time.
I think we're done. I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
I'll take it. Wrap it up.
Fabulous Thunderbirds. Fabulous Thunderbirds.
Long Island, right?
No.
Philly?
No.
Detroit?
No.
Come on, help me out.
Texas, baby.
Were
Stevie
they?
Ray Vaughan's brother, Jimmy Vaughn.
Oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Commander.
Fabulous Thunderbirds.
Lieutenant Hut.
All right, buddy. We'll do it again next week.
All hands on deck.
So long, Mel. Have a good trip.
Iceberg, dead ahead. Don't forget to review us and rate us. It really helps.
The Talking Dicks became friends at a very young age, and the rest is history.
I'm losing my mind.
Patreon.com/The Two Dicks, which is named after our web series. This is the Two Owls, One Pod podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Done.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
We'll fix it in post, you son of a bitch.
Okay, sure.
All right. Subscribe. Mary. This was a horrible mistake.
Go to patreon.com/The Two Dicks.
If you shoot me, you won't see a cent of that money. Why?
I think it ends on that. That's beautiful.